The first time anyone called her a monster, she was only 6 cycles old. It wasn't shouted. It wasn't said in anger. It was whispered. And somehow, that made it worse. Lyris stood behind the cracked alloy door, her thin, violet fingers gripping its edge as she listened. Beyond the doorway, 2 elders of her colony spoke in hushed tones, their voices laced with something she didn't yet understand, but would come to know intimately.
Fear.
She shouldn't exist, one elder murmured. Her mutation is unstable, dangerous. She's not like the others, the second replied. The energy readings around her, they spike unpredictably. A pause. Then the word. Monster. Lyris didn't cry. Not then. She simply stepped back into the darkness of the storage chamber, curling into herself as a faint glow flickered beneath her translucent skin, pulsing in uneven rhythms, as if her body itself was confused about what it was supposed to be. That glow, that was the problem. That glow was why she had no friends. Why no one touched her. Why her own mother kept a careful distance. Years passed, and the whispers never stopped. The colony of Aurelia was a fragile place, built inside the hollow remains of an ancient asteroid drifting through a quiet corner of the galaxy. Its inhabitants were a peaceful species known as the Ellerin, beings of soft luminescence and harmonic speech. Except Lyris. Where others shimmered gently like distant stars, her glow flared violently, bright, jagged bursts of energy that sometimes cracked the air with audible static. Where others could control their bioenergy with precision, hers surged uncontrollably, reacting to her emotions in unpredictable ways. Once, when a group of children cornered her and mocked her, her panic caused a shockwave that shattered 3 nearby structures. No one was seriously hurt, but it didn't matter. After that, no one even tried to pretend she belonged. They stopped calling her Lyris. They called her Anomaly. By the time she reached maturity, she had accepted it. She lived alone in the outer tunnels, far from the central habitats. She gathered her own food, repaired her own shelter, and spoke to no one unless absolutely necessary. Isolation wasn't just something imposed on her anymore. It was something she chose. Because every time she tried to be close to someone, something went wrong. Things broke. People got scared. And she couldn't blame them. She was dangerous. She was different. She was a monster. The human arrived without warning. The colony sensors detected the ship first, a small, battered vessel dropping out of hyperspace on an unstable trajectory. It didn't match any known design, and its energy signature fluctuated wildly before crashing into the outer ring of the asteroid. Emergency protocols activated immediately. Rescue teams were dispatched. Lyris watched from a distance.
She always did.
Hidden in the shadows of a fractured tunnel, she observed the commotion as Ellerin responders carefully approached the wreckage. The ship was partially embedded in the rock, its hull scorched and torn open. Moments later, they pulled him out. A human. Lyris had never seen one before. She had heard of them, of course, rumors carried by traders and distant transmissions. A young species. Fragile. Chaotic. Surprisingly resilient. Dangerous in their own way. The human was unconscious, his body limp as they carried him toward the medical sector. His skin was pale, marked with burns and bruises, and strange red liquid, blood, streaked his clothing. Lyris felt something unfamiliar stir within her.
Curiosity.
She wasn't supposed to go near the medical wing, but that night she did. The corridors were quiet, dimly lit by the soft glow of the colony's energy conduits. Lyris moved silently, her form blending into the shadows as she approached the chamber where the human was being treated. The door was slightly open. Inside, the human lay on a medical platform, surrounded by scanning devices. His breathing was shallow but steady. The Ellerin healers had done what they could, but their physiology was different. There were limits to what they understood. Lyris hesitated. She shouldn't be here. If anyone saw her. The human stirred. A faint groan escaped his lips as his eyes fluttered open. And for a moment he looked directly at her. Their gazes locked. Lyris froze. This was the moment she knew all too well, the moment when someone saw her. Really saw her. The irregular glow beneath her skin, the flickering energy dancing around her form like unstable lightning. This was when the fear would come. The recoil. The disgust. She braced herself for it. Instead, the human blinked slowly and said, in a hoarse voice, "Wow." Lyris frowned slightly. That wasn't right. "You're glowing," he added weakly. "That's actually kind of amazing." She stared at him, unsure how to respond. No one had ever said that before.
Not like that.
"You are not afraid?" she asked quietly, her voice carrying a faint harmonic echo. The human gave a tired, lopsided smile. "Lady, I just crashed into an asteroid and somehow didn't die," he said. "At this point, glowing alien is pretty low on my list of concerns." Lyris didn't understand the humor, but something about his tone, it wasn't fear. It wasn't pity either. It was just acceptance. And that confused her more than anything else. His name was Daniel Hayes, a pilot, a scavenger, a man who had seen more of the galaxy than most humans ever would. And for reasons Lyris couldn't quite grasp, he wasn't afraid of her. Not even a little. Over the following days, she returned to the medical wing again and again. At first, she stayed near the doorway, speaking only when spoken to. But Daniel was persistent. He asked questions. About her.
About the colony.
About her abilities. At first, she gave short, guarded answers. But he didn't push. He just listened. And slowly, something began to change. "You keep calling yourself a monster," Daniel said one day, sitting up on the edge of the medical platform. "Why?" Lyris tilted her head. "Because it is true." "Says who?" She hesitated. "Everyone." Daniel snorted softly. "Yeah, well, everyone is usually wrong." Lyris didn't respond. Instead, she raised her hand slightly. The air around it shimmered as a pulse of energy flickered outward, causing a nearby instrument to spark and shut down.
"This is why," she said.
Daniel watched the display, then looked back at her. "Okay," he said. "So, you've got what energy powers? Unstable ones?" "Yes." "And sometimes things break?" "Yes." "And people get scared?" "Yes." He leaned back slightly, crossing his arms. "Congrats," he said. "You've just described every human kid going through puberty, minus the glowing." Lyris blinked. "I do not understand." He grinned. "Point is, being dangerous doesn't make you a monster," he said. "It just means you don't know how to control what you've got yet." She shook her head. "I have tried. I cannot control it." "Not yet," Daniel corrected. There was a difference in that word. A small one, but it mattered. Training started the next day. It was Daniel's idea, of course. "You've been avoiding using your abilities because you're scared of hurting someone," he said. "That just makes it worse. You've got to face it." Lyris was hesitant, but she agreed. They chose an abandoned section of the outer tunnels, far from anyone else. The space was wide, open, and already damaged, perfect for mistakes. "All right," Daniel said, standing a safe distance away. "Show me what you can do." Lyris raised her hands. The glow beneath her skin intensified, flickering erratically as energy gathered around her. The air crackled, and small arcs of light snapped outward, striking the walls. "I cannot hold it," she warned. "Then don't hold it," Daniel said. "Guide it." She frowned.
"How?"
He thought for a moment. Focus on something simple, he said. A direction. A target. Don't try to stop the energy, just tell it where to go. Lyris hesitated. Then she turned her gaze toward a distant section of the wall and released. The blast was powerful. A concentrated beam of luminous energy surged from her hands, striking the wall with a thunderous impact. The rock cracked and melted, leaving a glowing scar across its surface. Silence followed. Lyris stared at the damage, her body trembling. I did that, she whispered. Daniel stepped forward, a grin spreading across his face.
Yeah, he said.
You did. She turned to him, confusion and something else, something lighter, flickering in her expression. I did not lose control. Nope. I aimed it. Exactly. Her glow softened slightly, stabilizing for the first time in her life. I aimed it, she repeated. Weeks passed, then months. With Daniel's help, Lyris learned. She learned how to focus her energy, how to channel it, how to control it instead of fearing it. The fluctuations didn't disappear entirely, but they became manageable, predictable. And for the first time, the colony began to notice. At first, it was cautious observation, then curiosity, then something else. Hope. The attack came without warning. A band of raiders, mercenaries drawn by rumors of the asteroid's valuable energy core, breached the outer defenses and stormed the colony. The Ellerin were not warriors. They were healers, thinkers, builders. They had no way to fight back. Panic spread quickly as the invaders advanced, their weapons tearing through the fragile structures of Aurelia. Lyris stood at the edge of the chaos, her heart pounding. This was it. This was the moment she had always feared. If she lost control now, she could destroy everything. Lyris. She turned. Daniel stood behind her, his expression serious. You can do this, he said. I could hurt them, she replied. You will hurt them, he said. That's the point. They're attacking your home. She hesitated. I am a monster. Daniel stepped closer. No, he said firmly. You're someone who has told she's a monster for so long. She started believing it. He met her gaze. But I've seen what you really are. A pause. You're the only one here who can stop this. Lyris turned back toward the battlefield. Her body began to glow. Not wildly, not uncontrollably, but steadily, brightly. For the first time, beautifully, she stepped forward and unleashed everything she had learned. The energy surged through her, but it didn't consume her. She guided it, shaped it, directed it with precision. Beams of luminous force struck the invaders' weapons, disabling them. Shockwaves knocked them back without crushing them. Barriers of light rose to shield the fleeing civilians. She moved like a storm, controlled, focused, unstoppable. Within minutes, the raiders were defeated, driven back, forced to retreat. And as the last of them fled into space, silence fell over the colony once more. Lyris stood in the center of it all, her glow slowly fading. She waited for the whispers, for the fear, for the word she had heard all her life, monster. But it never came. Instead, one of the elders stepped forward, then another, and another, until she was surrounded, not by fear, but by something else, respect. Lyris, the first elder said softly, you saved us. She swallowed. I only used what I am. The elder smiled gently. Yes, he said, and what you are is extraordinary. Later, as the colony began to rebuild, Lyris found Daniel standing near the edge of the asteroid, looking out into the stars. It is over, she said. He nodded. Yeah, he replied. You did good. She stood beside him in silence for a moment. Then she spoke. I believed I was a monster, she said. Daniel glanced at her. And now? She looked down at her hands, where a soft, steady glow pulsed beneath her skin. "Now I think," she said slowly, "I was simply misunderstood." Daniel smiled. "Welcome to the club." For the first time in her life, Lyris didn't feel like she was standing apart from the world. She felt like she was part of it, not feared, not rejected, but accepted. And as her light shimmered softly against the darkness of space, it was no longer something to hide. It was something to be proud of.